Thank you, Simsbury Community Television, Karen Hanville, Kristen Benedict, and Phyllis Fishberg, for the opportunity to provide the Simsbury community with the coverage of the Simsbury High School Sports Hall of Fame. You're about to have the opportunity to view the inaugural induction ceremony, which took place on January 6, 2018 at beautiful Hop Meadow Country Club. I'm Roger Coombes, 15-year volunteer here at SCTV, and I've enjoyed covering Simsbury High School sports action for the SCTV community. I'm also a proud former Simsbury High School Trojan, class of '78, and also a very proud father of two Simsbury Trojan athletes, classes of 2012 and 2016. I was honored to be asked to be part of the Hall of Fame board and the members, and have the opportunity to work with Jeff Pinney, athletic director at Simsbury High School, and the other members of the Hall of Fame board. Joining us here today is Jeff Pinney. Jeff, thank you for taking time out to introduce the Trojan Hall of Fame to the SCTV viewers.
Roger, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to come down, and thank you to SCTV for putting this out to the larger public. Thank you to Hop Meadow Country Club for hosting a tremendous event with a tremendous amount of people. We had about 230 people turn out to be a part of our event, and it was a wonderful evening with some great opportunity for people to see each other after many, many years apart, and it's a great way for us to kick off the Hall of Fame experience that we hope we get to continue year after year at Simsbury High School. We had some amazing people come in and speak. We had, we're lucky to have Jay Reynolds be our guest MC for the evening as an ESPN radio talk show host, and a proud Simsbury coach and parent and community member as well. It was a great time. We had a great experience. And for the first opportunity to do so, I know this was a 15-year plus conversation by a number of community members who came forward, who made up the board of directors for the Hall of Fame committee. We started a year and a half ago, putting together the logistics of how this would actually work. And I think for the first run, we did a pretty good job of making sure we recognized in a very professional and appropriate way some of the amazing things that the athletic community here in Simsbury has been able to produce. I'm excited. I hope that the people watching at home enjoy the ceremony and get to appreciate the people and the individual stories behind these great accomplishments that we're able to highlight this year through the Hall of Fame.
Excellent. And what was really neat, Jeff, I thought was we touched on, I think it was 7 decades of Simsbury athletes, starting with the 30s and running all the way up to the 90s. That's pretty neat, with Elmer Vincent being class of 37 and the last inductee being Meghan Cunningham, class of 2007. So I thought that was really neat how we did that. And we were able to get a coach and a wonderful team in there too. So I think you and your committee really touched all the bases on the inductees and the folks who were in that inaugural class.
And thank you to the people who attended, because for the viewers at home, people flew in from all over the country, and this was post a very difficult snowstorm for a couple of days where we received quite a few inches of the white stuff, and we had the opportunity to get people here, to get them reconnected with the Simsbury community, and that's what this Hall of Fame committee is really about, Roger. We want to engage the larger community and do a better job of getting in touch with our alumni, because we have the opportunity to have them share their experiences and their successes as an example of the things that people in this community can achieve, and we want to make sure we do a better job of connecting the two.
That's excellent. I think through this inaugural class and the opportunity to have some press releases and this on SCTV really will get the word out. And I think that the nominations will roll in, and you'll talk a little bit about that after the folks get to watch this wonderful event unfold.
I will, and for those of you at home who just get a chance to start this and potentially not get to the very end, I hope you do. But if you don't, know that the applications and the nominations for Hall of Fame inductees are always open on the Simsbury High School Athletic webpage. There's a Hall of Fame icon on the left-hand side that'll allow you to fill out the form and nominate any person you feel as a community member is deserving. There's no restrictions on who you can nominate or who can nominate. We take as many potential candidates as possible, and as a group, we try to select the most appropriate at the time. Any nomination is good for 5 years, so know that even if they don't get in that first year, we will continue to reconsider that person for up to 5 years.
Sure. Excellent. Well, thank you for all your hard work, Jeff. It was an outstanding golf tournament in October at Hot Meadow. That was outstanding. We really had a good time. And as Jeff said, that Simsbury Trojans Hall of Fame information is on the athletics website. If you just pop that in your browser, Simsbury Sports Hall of Fame, Trojans Hall of Fame, you will get some good links to very informative information. So let's roll with the show. Enjoy this inaugural Hall of Fame. And here is the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steve Petrina, longtime alum to Simsbury High School, also a member of our Hall of Fame committee, and currently still an assistant principal at Simsbury High School. Done a tremendous amount of work tonight. Thank you for that introduction. My name is Jeff Penny. I'm the current Director of Athletics and Activities at Simsbury High School. This has been an absolutely fantastic experience for me to start to get to know the community a little bit. I've been in town for 7 years now. Started off as a teacher and a coach at the high school, went into an administrative role at the middle school for a few years. Now I'm happily back to be a member of the sports community again at Simsbury High School and just having an absolutely wonderful time. Before I get into too many things and an introduction to our MC for tonight, I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming out tonight. When we began this process a year and a half ago, we had no idea what to expect. I can tell you that as we've gone through this process, the number of people that have responded and wanted to be a part of what we're doing here tonight, obviously, as you can see from the amount of people in this room, has gone way above and beyond what we expected. So thank you all for coming out tonight to support our inductees for this year. This has been, at least as far as I know, 15 years in the making. This conversation started about Simsbury and the town of Simsbury starting to recognize the success of the student athletes at Simsbury High School. And I can tell from the number of people who come from all over the country to be here tonight that this is something that certainly has been long overdue and is going to be enjoyed and appreciated for years to come. Before I get into too much more, I want to make sure I thank our title sponsor for this year, Simsbury Bank, who gave us the funds to get this up and running and off the ground. And it was a wonderful donation on their part that allowed us to really start this process in a nice way. Because as you can see from what's going on here this evening, we tried to do everything to the best of our ability to the standard that Simsbury has and the way that we think things should go. I also want to make sure I take the time to recognize the members of the induction committee. If you could please stand. If you've been a part of this process for the last year and a half, there are a number of you in the room, certainly. If it were not for the dedication and commitment of this group of people who has been having this idea for the last 15 years and trying to persevere and overcome different obstacles and figure out the logistics to make a night like this happen, this never would have taken place. So my heartfelt thanks to all of you to making this night special for everybody that's here. What we're here for tonight is to celebrate the amazing accomplishments of some of the members of Simsbury High School going back for many, many decades. I believe the oldest inductee this evening was a graduate from 1934, I believe. For me, joining the athletic community as first a coach and now as the athletic director, I've looked for the history. I've looked for what makes Simsbury special. And I can tell you that the 10 inductees this year, the team, 1987 girls soccer, you are what makes Simsbury special, because as we looked at the nominees for this year's induction class, I can tell you that there are no higher standards that I have ever seen out there. National rankings, Olympic medalists, people who have dedicated their lives to the community of Simsbury. It is an amazing set of people that you're going to get to hear about tonight, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. So thank you very much for having me. I'm going to introduce our MC, Jay Reynolds, in just a second. The last thing I want to leave you with tonight is, as you leave here, what I'd like you to be aware of is we're going to celebrate the history and the past while we're here this evening. But what I would like to do with this information moving forward, and why I'm going to put it up in Simsbury High School, is because you have all now set the standard for what the present and future Simsbury Trojans should be able to accomplish or surpass. That's the goal, and I love the fact that we have set the bar so amazingly high because of what you in this room have done throughout your career at Simsbury High School. So thank you, student athletes, coaches, community contributors, team of 1987, for all that you did while you were in Simsbury, and I hope that I can use that message to inspire this year's class, next year's, and far into the future to achieve even greater things than you were able to do in your time here. Mr. J. Reynolds has spent more than 20 years at ESPN, anchoring SportsCenter on ESPN Radio, and is currently the host of SportsCenter All Night. He's also a Simsbury native, an SHS alum, parent of a current SHS student athlete, and you'll probably find him at Memorial in the spring because he's a member of our varsity softball coaching staff. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. J. Reynolds, who will be our MC for this evening.
First of all, I will echo Jeff's thanks for the turnout tonight. As a former athlete at Simsbury High School, I know that this room is more crowded than most of the away game buses. So thank you for showing up and being a part of this special evening. As a former athlete at Simsbury, a one-sport athlete, baseball only, it was, I think, my time on the bench in the dugout that provided the expertise that I was able to eventually take to ESPN. So I appreciate the athletes who were far better than I was for providing me something to watch when I was sitting in the dugout. We will start with the individual athletes. I'll read their accomplishments. You have them in your programs in front of you. I'll highlight the accomplishments for the benefit of the people watching on SCTV at home, and we'll go alphabetically so there's no toes stepped on. Our first athlete was a varsity football starter from 1958 to 1960, quarterback, defensive back, all-state in 1960, all-league in 1959 and 1960, varsity basketball starter from 58 to 61, captain in 1960 and 61, all-league in 60 and 61, a varsity baseball starter from 1958 to 1961, captain in 1961, and all-league in baseball as well in 60 and 61. Jim Bidwell, he was a varsity football, basketball, and baseball starter. Captain of all three sports his senior year, captain of the basketball team his junior year, and football all-league his junior and senior years, and all-state his junior year. For baseball all-league his junior and senior years, he had 4 no-hitters in his high school career, batted over 300 all 4 years. Jim received a full 4-year scholarship to the College of Holy Cross in Worcester, Massachusetts. Big round of applause for Jim Bidwell.
I brought some notes just in case I forget anything, but thank you for all you guys from Simsbury High School who made this an event, which should have been done many, many years ago, and thank God we're going to do it right now, and it's fantastic. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure all the other inductees do as well. I want to also mention before I go on much further. I'm limited to 3 or 4 minutes, so you don't have to listen to me very long. Bottom line is, I'd like my family, and it's a major family. I have 13 of us. Actually, I'm the 13th. 13 people over there who are my supporters for many years as I went on, especially my wife, who obviously saw most of my games when I was in high school, seeing that she was a junior at Simsbury High School when I was a senior, so she was a year behind me, so she got to go to watch all this stuff that was going on. If you'd all stand up, please. I just want, that's my family. There's 2 people in my family, and I might get a little emotional, who aren't here today, and they were my biggest supporters, my parents. unfortunately, they're not with us today. And without them, none of this could have happened. So I just want to let them know up there that I appreciate it, and it was really great to have them there for the 4 years in high school and obviously beyond when I went off to Holy Cross. I want to congratulate all the other recipients. I think this is a fantastic thing that Simsbury High School has done, and I hope that they do this from year to year, and we are invited back, I hope. See if I didn't have my glasses on, I could probably see this better. Bottom line is, I want to go back just a little in history. I was here, my freshman year was 1957. And back then, we were little Simsbury. We were a Class C school that just jumped to a Class B school when there were A, Bs, and Cs. And we really didn't belong in the B, but Coach Scholes, who was the head athletic director, coach, whatever you want to call him, decided that we should move up to the upper class. And we did, and we were very successful. Unfortunately, back in those days, they didn't have football playoffs and baseball playoffs, as far as I know, because we were always very successful, but we never got to play in any high school tournaments, which I'm not sure why, but other than Housatonic was always better than us, so that's probably why. And Housatonic, incidentally, had 3 guys that made it to the majors. And maybe that's probably why, because I only was a Yankee farmhand. So, but bottom line is this is great. I really think that you guys from Simsbury have done a great thing. I think this will get better as the years go on. Although, wow, I mean, I'm looking out at all these faces, and this is tremendous. And I appreciate everything that they've done for me, and this is the greatest honor that I've ever had in my sporting life, and I really appreciate it. So, thank you. I really appreciate it. One more thing. I see one of my umpire friends out there that I didn't know. Billy, you're the greatest. Okay?
Next up is Doug Cramphin. Doug was here from 66 to 70, conference basketball championship teams from 67 and 68, conference football champs 67 and 68, 68, 69, 69 and 70. Notable individual accomplishments: varsity basketball 67 and 68, varsity football and baseball from 67 to 70, all conference baseball and football from 67 to 70. Doug was a participant on numerous baseball and football conference championship teams. He was named to an all-conference baseball and football team in 67, 68, 69, and 70. In addition, he was named to the All-State football team in 1969. He's the current Simsbury High School touchdown passing and quarterback touchdown rushing record holder. Doug was inducted into the National Football Foundation Hall of Fame as a scholar athlete in 1969. He continued his baseball and football participation at Middlebury College in Vermont, culminating in an undefeated football season in 1973, which was the first in Middlebury's history. Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Cramphin.
Wow, this is a trip. On September 18th in 2007, only a month after doctors told him that he had 3 to 6 months to live due to pancreatic cancer, Randy Pausch, a professor at Carnegie Mellon, presented his final lecture to a packed auditorium at Carnegie Mellon. His lecture was called Really Achieving Your Childhood Dreams. This last lecture was filled with some marvelous pieces of advice, most of which I would share with my students in the first day of school every year. I encourage everyone to either see the lecture on the internet or buy the book, The Last Lecture. In any event, Randy gave a number of words of advice on how to achieve one's childhood dreams. I'd like to focus on one of them. And his piece of advice was to show gratitude. Any accolades such as this Hall of Fame induction is the result of a great deal of support from many people, and in my mind, must be shared. My gratitude goes out to Steve Petrina, to Jeff Penny, to Tim Vincent, as well as my former coaches, Rolly Morrison, Jack Wilson, Joe Grace, Bob Fuller, and Andy Talley. I'd also like to thank my mom and dad. My mom, who would ride with Dad to Middlebury, and then she would sit in the car and listen to the game on the radio because she couldn't stand seeing me get hit. My dad, who went to every game of mine in high school and college, home and away, he managed to crunch down lifesavers constantly. I'd like to thank my sisters, Di and Barb, for their enduring love and support and putting up with the, "Are you Doug Cramphin's sister?" And in addition, I'd like to thank my wife, Jane, my son, James, and his fiancée, Amanda, all of whom are stellar athletes in their own right. Finally, I'd like to thank two of my dear friends, Marcia and Rich Keegan, and two high school teammates, Jack Lambert and Steve Betts, for being here tonight. When I learned about my induction, my mind was immediately flooded with memories of my best friend and teammate, Doug Means, and the rest of my teammates. Though this is an individual award tonight, I contend that I was a lucky player to have been around so many fine athletes. We just made each other better. Many of my teammates went on to play in college. Please allow me this one story. Some background. Andy Talley, the former head coach of Villanova for 32 years, began his 49-year high school and collegiate coaching career at Simsbury High School as our quarterback coach. Andy realized that he had some great players at Simsbury when Middlebury College began recruiting them en masse in the late 60s and early 70s, and not being a dummy, he moved to Middlebury College as well. Think about it. My high school quarterback coach was now my college quarterback coach. And for that, I'll always be grateful. One Randy Pausich, Andy Talley specific interaction comes to mind. I was a freshman at Middlebury at the time. After 3 weeks, I had worked my way up the depth chart, and I was a starter quarterback in my first varsity collegiate game. Just before I got into the game, while standing on the sideline, Coach Talley pulled me aside. And he said the following: "Look, after you call the huddle into play, call the play in the huddle, and you get to the line of scrimmage, take a breath. Stand there. Look around. Take it in. Savor the moment. This is your first college play." I ran in, I called the play, and I moved to the line. I then did what Coach told me to do. I stood there. And I took it in. Then I looked around. No, I didn't look at the defensive scheme in front of me as I should have done, but I looked at my teammates already in their stances. I looked down. My center, George Kuckel, Simsbury High School, class of 68. Left guard, Bart DeSalvo, Simsbury High School, class of 69. Tight end, John Coleman, Simsbury High School, class of 69. Oh, I'm not done. I turned around and looked at the backfield. Phil Pope, Simsbury High School, class of 69, left half. Fullback, Tom McNeil, Simsbury High School, class of 70. Right half, Billy DeSalvo, Simsbury High School, class of 1968. 7 of the starting 11 on the offensive unit at Middlebury College at that time were from Simsbury High School. And the following year, Dave Pope and Andy McLean, both of Simsbury High School class of 1971, joined us. Randy would dig this tonight. Those were just some of the former Simsbury High School teammates who played in college throughout the country. I was a lucky young man then, and I'm a lucky man now. Thank you to all those players and coaches who helped me get here tonight. Congratulations to the other inductees. I'll be forever grateful to everybody here. Thank you very much.
So many great names in these speeches as people are accepting the awards. I heard Doug mention Jack Wilson, and one memory that came back from when I was in school. My mother's generation, there was 3 boys and 1 girl, and when I got to high school, Jack Wilson looked at me and said, "Hey, Reynolds, you going to play football? Everybody in your family plays football, right?" I said, "Well, not my mother." Our next athlete inductee, Meghan Cunningham, class of 2007. 4 years of playing soccer, 3 varsity, 2 years of basketball, 1 varsity, a year of varsity indoor track, 3 years of outdoor varsity track, a year of varsity lacrosse. Lettered in 5 sports. 2004 All-State track, 800-meter state champion. 2004 track, the state open runner-up. 2005 track, state open championship. 2005 track, All-State, All-New England, All-American. 800-meter state champion. 2005 soccer, state co-champs. 2006 All-State soccer and track, 800-meter, 1600-meter state champion, 1600-meter New England champion. 2006 track, the Class L state champ. 2006 soccer, conference champions. 2007 All-State indoor track, 600-meter. Went on to the University of Connecticut, 4-year varsity soccer player, 3-year starter at UConn. The 2010 All-New England soccer team captain, 4 years outdoor track New England champion at the 1,000-meter level, 4 years outdoor track 3,000-meter steeplechase Big East champion in 2011, All-American honorable mention, NCAA national qualifier, 2011 USA Championships qualifier, attained U.S. Olympic Trials B's standard, and in 2011 ran cross country as a 5th-year senior. Ladies and gentlemen, Meghan Cunningham.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I want to first thank the committee for selecting me for this honor. Congratulations to the other honorees as well. Truly an honor to be selected amongst you. I first want to say, we have such an amazing program at Simsbury. It really wasn't until I got to college where I realized that. Hearing some of the experiences of my other teammates, they didn't have what we had. We had, the opportunities to, anything from cross-country skiing to badminton, you name it. We've got it at Simsbury High. The coaching, the commitment, and the community support, it's unparalleled here. I was fortunate to have some really amazing coaches along the way. One of them, Tim O'Donnell, who's here tonight, was my track coach. When I went out for the track team, I thought I was pretty big as a freshman. I thought my talents were going to be in the shot put. Tim O'Donnell picked me out as a distance runner, and it was there that he told me what he thought I was capable of and gave me the roadmap for success. And there I learned really what dedicating yourself to a goal and putting in the hard work to achieve that was all about. Years later, I came back here to Simsbury to coach soccer. I was lucky enough to be an assistant coach and be a small part of that for some others along the way, helping them realize what they were capable of, helping them go on to college and do some pretty amazing things themselves. So it really came full circle. So, of course, I got to thank my parents for this. My dad wants me to thank him for teaching me how to do throw-ins, do a layup, and other cone drills in soccer. So thanks, Dad. But in all seriousness, thanks to my parents for everything. All the weekends on the road. I didn't know that parents actually really had lives and maybe wanted to do other things. So thanks for that. Thanks to my siblings, the backyard basketball games, and my older sister Caitlin, chasing her growing up. Always, she always set the bar, and I always wanted to accomplish whatever she did. So thank you, and thank you to Simsbury.
From the class of 2007, we're going back to 1952, the class of 52. 4 years of varsity basketball, the 1952 leading scorer with 280 points, the 1952 Class S state championship. Simsbury has grown since we were a Class S school. The 1952 All-State basketball, 4 years of varsity baseball, 3 years of varsity football, Fairfield University basketball from 52 to 53, CCSU basketball from 55 to 57, CCSU football from 56 to 57, and CCSU baseball in 1956 and 57. In 2006, he was inducted into the CCSU Hall of Fame. Jim Gallagher, a 1952 graduate of Simsbury High School. Again, for the benefit of the folks at home, Jim, in his career, was a tough, versatile three-sport competitor. During his career, Jim earned varsity letters for 3 years of basketball, 3 years of baseball, and 2 years of football. Known for his aggressive play, Jim led the basketball team in the scoring and rebounding categories his senior year, en route to winning the Connecticut Class S state championship and earning first-team All-State honors. After graduating, Jim received a scholarship to Fairfield University, playing there for a year and then finishing his athletic career at CCSU, where he was inducted into their Hall of Fame in 2006. Jim Gallagher.
Thank you very much. My boys will take up a collection. They wouldn't let me do that. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and boy, there's a lot of people here, I'll tell you that. We'll take up a collection later on, but don't worry about it. Thank you very much for the honors. It was very nice, very nice. I got a table full. Stand up, please. The little guy's going to be about 6'8". I hope. But it's an honor, and I want to thank everybody who put me in this position, my coaches, everybody along the way. And my speech is short, needless to say. I'm not a public speaker. But thank you very much for coming, and have a great year. Thank you.
The next recipient in our athlete category spent a lot of time on the water. 3 seasons varsity soccer, 3 seasons varsity swimming, and 4 seasons varsity crew. 2005 soccer state championship, qualified for the state swim championship. 2006 Connecticut Public High School rowing state champ, 200 medley relay school record as well. After Simsbury, Ivy League Conference Championships in 2007, third place, 2008, fourth place, 2009, third place, and in 2010, second place. All Conference Ivy League in 2008, 2009, and 2010, and All-American in 2009 and 2010. In the NCAA Championships, 2007, sixth place, 2008, 12th place, sixth place in 2009, and third place in 2010. In 2010, earning a gold medal at the U23 World Champs. In 2011, a gold medal senior world champion in the women's 4. In 2012, a gold medal U.S. Olympic trials in the women's pair. 2012, fourth place at the London Olympic Games. 2013, second place in the World Cup in Sydney, Australia in the women's 8. And in 2016, U.S. Olympic selection regatta finalist. We all got up very early in 2012 to watch her row in the Olympics. Ladies and gentlemen, Sara Hendershot.
Thank you. It's really special to be here tonight. This is such a great event. I did not expect so many people to be here. I don't get to come back to Simsbury that often, so it's special for me just to even be back to see my family this weekend. I came actually last night because my mom has been begging me for months to please come clean out my high school closet. And so I finally did that, and it was actually a really nice experience because we got to go through all of these old memories. I saw tons of photo albums with photos of my teammates and my coaches and my teachers and all of this schoolwork that I had kept for years and years and some honors that I had won. And it made me realize and remember just how lucky I am that I ended up in Simsbury. I was born in Boston and started my elementary school years just outside of Boston. And it was just before middle school that we moved to Simsbury. And I just feel so lucky that my parents picked Simsbury because when I came here and I started high school and I had no idea what spring sport I wanted to play, Simsbury was one of 7 programs that had, one of 7 public high schools that had a rowing team. So there weren't that many. And we happened to be at one that had a rowing program. And I had no idea what the sport even was when my parents kind of pushed me to go down to the boathouse to see what the program was all about. And if I hadn't been here, I think I would never have had the chance to find a sport that I really do feel like was my calling. And beyond that even, I feel so lucky that I was able to be a part of a system that challenged me so much. It wasn't just the sports, it was also the academics. I had a lot of teachers who made my life very difficult for 4 years. And I think only because of those challenges that I saw on the field and in the boat and in the classroom was I able to face challenges that came later on in my athletic and academic career as well. One of my most favorite memories about Simsbury was actually when I was sitting at the starting line of my Olympic final. It was my partner and I, and we're getting ready to race in London. And this is the 2 minutes or so before the race is supposed to start. And this is when our coach tells us, this is when you really need to clear your head. You need to be running through mentally what you should be doing for your race and take a moment to prepare and really stay calm. And in that moment is actually when I'm realizing, oh my goodness, there are tens of thousands of people here in the stadiums and along the riverbanks, far more than I've ever come to watch any other Simsbury rowing race that I ever competed in. That's including the royal family was there. And then all of a sudden I'm realizing it's not just these tens of thousands of people, it's the millions of people that are watching us on television. And I start to picture the Simsbury High School auditorium where I know there's a viewing party going on of people watching me. And really, I feel lucky that in that moment I didn't get nervous or feel like there was extra pressure. I just felt this immense amount of gratitude that I had so many people in my life that had been supportive, that had helped me get to that place, and like they were going to help fuel my performance in that moment. So I really just do feel lucky to have been part of this system and to have had such great coaches. Mark Raymond and Ann Carabillo are here. They were the ones that inspired my love for rowing from the beginning. To my parents for really encouraging me to start trying rowing and to go down to the boathouse. To my husband, who I met in college. Actually, we were both on the rowing team there, and then he became my coach later on and really was a huge part of the reason why I was able to get to where I did. But I just feel so lucky and special to be here. And one little shout out, Meghan Cunningham was also a teammate of mine. I feel that's pretty cool that two inductees got to play on the same soccer team together as well. We were co-state champions when we played in Simsbury. But thank you so much. This was a really special thing.
There are some times where you have to make the font really, really small in order to get somebody's accomplishments listed on one single plaque. Such is the case for our next inductee from the class of 1995, Michael Hood. He was a 4-year starter in ice hockey, 3-year starter in football, a 4-year varsity starter in baseball. Quick math, that's 11 varsity letters out of a possible 12 seasons. He was a 3-sport captain as a senior, all-state in baseball, honorable mention, all-state ice hockey and football. In football, a record of 28-4 as the starting quarterback, 42 touchdown passes, 3,767 total yards, 3-time CCC West champions, all-state quarterback in 1995, USA Today, All-USA. In hockey, 4-time CCC West champion, state semifinalist in 1994 and 95, 70 goals, 120 assists, all-state honorable mention in 1995. In baseball, 1995 CCC West champion and state semifinalist, all-state shortstop in 1995, a batting average of .453 in 1994 and .422 in 1995. Mike had a distinguished Simsbury High School career. Following high school, Mike attended Cornell, where he was the starting quarterback for 2 years. Upon graduating from Cornell, Mike held several passing records, including completion percentage, as well as the season record for number of completions. In culmination of all his athletic achievements, Mike was selected by the Hartford Courant in 1999 as one of Simsbury's best athletes of the century. Michael Hood.
Unfortunately, I think I left a few things out of that resume. As I like to tell people, not only did I have a couple passing records at Cornell, but he left out the most important one, most interceptions in one game. Can't forget that. And unfortunately, that stood for a very long time. I like to tell people I just throw a very catchable ball. But 4 catchable balls in one game. Not the best. So anyway, I'd like to thank Coach Petrina, Steve, and the rest of the committee for putting this together. I know how hard it is to put something like this, and obviously by the amount of people here, they did a great job. I'd also like to thank them for something else. As many of you know, I've got 2 younger brothers and a younger sister that both went to Simsbury. They both played sports, and at Hood family gatherings, many times as a debate comes out, usually after a few too many drinks, about which one of us was the best athlete to go to Simsbury High. And so my younger brother threw out a state championship in baseball, my other brother state championship in hockey. I've got a couple letters, right, a couple finals, semifinals, etc. But there was never any definitive way to say which one was the best. So, to all you committee members out there, this will stand the test of time. So thank you very much for having me today. So it was a lot of fun thinking back at all the memories that we had here. Certainly make lifelong friends, a bunch of lessons learned. But, you know, obviously there's a lot of moments that you never forget. Throwing touchdown passes in championship games, scoring game-winning overtime playoff hockey goals, having the ball in your mitt to make the last out. Those are all the great memories that I do have. Certainly there's some tough ones too. Losses in football, losses in baseball. and certainly probably every strikeout that I ever had in baseball. I can still remember to this day. But I was thinking about, what was really special from all those moments. And really, it was the journey to go ahead and get there. And, the journey wasn't just me. I had a whole bunch of people along with me that I'd like to thank. So first off, I want to thank, and I'm lucky to have all of my coaches, save for one of my hockey coaches here today. So Coach Joe Grace, thank you very much. Maybe you know Coach Grace. He was a forward thinker. He taught me more about football than any of my college coaches did. And for that, I owe him a debt of gratitude. Coach Matheson, Coach Cross. Coach Matheson is here. They set up a great hockey program here at Simsbury. Very successful. Got one championship out of it. But no one had more fun out there. And you guys were amazing. And then Coach Schwartz, I had you for 4 years of baseball. A lot of fun. We had so much success. Thank you very much for that. I've also got another one of my baseball coaches here tonight, Coach Vincent. Obviously, everybody in Simsbury knows him. I spent many summers with him, working and trying to get better, and really appreciate his stewardship. Someone that always kept me up on my feet, that I'm happy to have at my table tonight, Emmy Lou McLean. Everybody knows Emmy Lou. Thank you so much. It was great. You treated all of us, probably all told, for 16 plus years, brothers and sisters, and keeping everybody upright. So I appreciate that. Certainly all my teammates. Played team sports. Couldn't be here without them. But then it's more than that, right? It's the entire Simsbury community. We heard other people talk about how special this town is and how the people rally around, and it really truly makes a difference, right? Whether it's from the coaches that let me, come in and lift weights at 6 a.m. to the administrators that gave me first period off so I can go ahead and continue lifting, to my homeroom teacher, where I didn't have to go to a homeroom, right? If you guys never had to go to a homeroom, I just called from the weight room. Yep, I'm here. Done. Let's get on. So without their help, right, I wouldn't be able to be up here. So it's really, truly everybody involved. And you can really feel that, pull when everybody's invested in you. And I like to think that, everybody that I worked with and was always working with me and, giving me their best. So I greatly appreciate that. Lastly, I want to say thank you to my beautiful wife. Did not meet her at Simsbury, Cornell grad, but I appreciate all the support, obviously. And then I don't think it can be said enough. I am a new father of a couple, a young boy and a young girl, 5 and 2, and just starting to understand what parents do. And how much time, energy, effort they give without asking anything in return. So I want to say thank you very much for everything you did for me. Lastly, similarly, I was going through some of my old high school stuff, found the yearbook, was going through it, and found my senior quote. And it wasn't anything, kind of from a cheesy 85, song pulled out. It was probably even worse. It was a quote for myself. What was I thinking? So I had the audacity to say, to be the best, one must always give his best. Which I still do truly believe. However, now, given a little bit older, I realize that I can't do it alone, and I didn't do it alone, and I have everybody else in my life to thank. And so, for this award and this honor, I accept it on behalf of my coaches, my teammates, and everybody else that was there at that time. So thank you very much.
He now has his keychain with the Simsbury High School Hall of Fame, the thing that'll get him into any sporting event. So now when there's that argument at the Hood Thanksgiving dinner table, you just say, pull my car around here. And he also mentioned Coach Schwartz during his time with baseball. I joked about baseball before, but Coach Schwartz, I probably learned more from you about being a person than any other coach I ever had. So thank you. Back again to the class of 49, George Mainville. 3 years of varsity football, 4 years of varsity basketball, 3 years of varsity baseball. 1947, 48, and 49 CVC championships in baseball, 48 and 49 CVC champions in basketball, 4 years varsity baseball at Hillier College, which is now the University of Hartford. 1953, the team captain in baseball when they had a 21-7 record. 1953, basketball team captain. 53 to 55, players, coach, U.S. Army Post team with a 36-5 record. From 1955 to 61, the Hartford Industrial Basketball League, the Route B team averaged 23 points per game, the second highest scorer in the league. Simsbury Little League coach for 12 years, town champion in 1980. Simsbury Babe Ruth coach for 5 years, U16 and U19 basketball coach at St. Mary's School. From 1953 to 55, George served in the U.S. Army, continued his baseball career playing for and coaching the Post team. He then returned to Simsbury where he married Annie Holcomb and had 4 children, all who attended Simsbury High. George and Annie Marie were blessed with 3 grandchildren who attended Simsbury as well. All of them played sports for the Trojans. He is a Hall of Famer, George Mainville.
Thank you very much, Jay. Just one minor correction, if I might. I was the player coach of the Army basketball team, although I did play baseball also. But Jeff Pitty stole one of my opening lines when he said that he appreciates all of you folks showing up. My words are, we all know Coach Bill Belichick, and he's a man of a few words. When the few words you get out of him, he says the Patriots people are the fans are the best ones in the world. Well, I like to think that all you folks are the best fans in the world to, brave this cold weather and come out tonight. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. I want to put in a good word, so to speak, for the Simsbury Board of Education and the assistant principal, Steve Petrina, director of athletics, Jeff Finney, and the members of the committee who selected the candidates. I think they went over and above the court of duty. I'm not in the position, by the way, to hand out or rent magic fly carpets, but I would like all of you to join me as I turn back the clock, so to speak, and bring me back to the late 1940s when I attended Simsbury High School. Simsbury was a rather small farming community of 4,000 people, and the high school had a total enrollment of 425 students. By the way, that 425 included students who were bused in from Granby and East Granby, as they did not have high schools during that period. The high school was where the current Simsbury Public Town offices are located. The CIAC classified us as Class C, which placed us in the small school division. We had 3 varsity sports: football, basketball, baseball. We had technically 1 coach, Russell Scholes, who coached football and basketball. Bill Henry, who played baseball at Trinity College, volunteered to coach the baseball team. I'd like to give you a quick overview of the teams of my era. Football had been discontinued during the war years due to gasoline rationing. Some of you younger folks don't know what that is. I'll explain later. But we resumed football in my sophomore year. Most of the teammates had very little hands-on experience playing football, and consequently this caused a big challenge for Coach Scholes. So what did he do? He went out and enlisted several of the teachers, including our principal, Elliot P. Dodge, to help teach fundamentals of the game. We played a single wing formation, and those of us who started played, generally speaking, the whole game because we didn't have substitutes with enough experience to replace us. We wore leather helmets. The polycarbonate plastic helmets didn't come into play till the year after I graduated, which you know. We didn't have any field lights or electric scoreboard. We shocked the world when we beat Weaver High School 7-0 and tied Enfield High. Both of these teams were in the large school category. Now, getting over to basketball went through a tremendous transition period. When I was a freshman and sophomore, the teams played a very slow, regulated game. Most of the shots were taken with a 2-hand set shot. And this obviously led to low-scoring games. Yeah, you wouldn't believe sometimes the winning score was 28-20. When I was a junior, the fast break evolved, and now the players were shooting a one-handed set shot. The pace of the game obviously was speeded up quite a bit. The scores were up in the 60, 70-point range and higher. Our gym was in the space where the current Simsbury Engineering Department is located. The lighting was very poor because they were using fluorescent fixtures at that time. The school auditorium and the gym were one and the same. Our fans sat up in the balcony overlooking the court. The out of bounds on one end was inches away from a stage. On the other end, it was inches away from 2 swinging doors. I recall one game where one of my teammates either ran or was pushed into the doors, and he ended up losing his 2 front teeth. We had a record of 56 wins and 15 defeats, not including tournament games. Now, last but not least, was the baseball field. That was located on Masako Street, just beyond Central School. Simsbury had the only all-dirt infield in the league, which served to our advantage. Balls hit on the ground on a dirt surface came at you at a pretty good rate of speed, as opposed to those hit on a grass surface, which slowed the ball down. We didn't have any outfield lights. We didn't have dugouts. We didn't have electric scoreboards. and we didn't wear batting helmets because they weren't in vogue at that time. So I wanted to take a few moments to take you back in time for several reasons. First of all, I wanted to point out that we had a healthy perspective toward winning, even though we did not have good facilities, and we faced more than a few hardships, which did not deter us. We went out there knowing that we represented the Trojans of Simsbury High School. So I want to finish up here by saying I enjoyed my time at Simsbury High, and I know that sports played an awful part of the person I turned out to be today, which is solid and all that, if you want, if you believe it. But I am honored and proud and happy to be a member of the Hall of Fame, and all I can say is after listening to some of the credentials of these other people, I just have to say, wow. In closing, I want to say thank you very much for braving the elements to be here tonight. God bless America, and go Trojans.
As we get to the end of the individual athletes, it's dawned on me that the committee had such a tough job, they never got past the M's with the individual athletes. That explains why Reynolds is hosting. We're honoring a coach this evening as well. There's been a lot of coaches referenced. We have one coach this evening going into the Hall of Fame, Ed Lynch, for his years of service between 1982 and 2016. He was the head varsity boys soccer coach from 1988 to 2013 with a record of 307 wins, 114 losses, and 59 ties, 3 state championships. Head boys golf coach from 1982 to 2016, 813 wins, 69 losses, 11 ties, ranking number 1 nationally among coaches, 9 state championships. He founded the girls' golf team in 1997. He was the head girls' golf coach between 1997 and 2000. National High School Coaches Hall of Fame, Connecticut High School Coaches Hall of Fame, and the Connecticut Sports Writers Gold Key Award. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Ed Lynch.
Wow. Good evening. I am pleased, I'm honored, and I'm extremely humbled to be standing before you tonight to accept induction into the Simsbury High School Hall of Fame. A very special thanks to all those who entered my name for consideration, and to the Hall of Fame committee for thinking of me to be worthy of induction. I especially would like to thank the many hundreds of student athletes who are the ones that made this honor happen tonight. My players are the real recipients. Their commitment to excellence, their hard work day after day, and a drive for team success was not only outstanding, but very rewarding. Tonight I would like to also salute all of this year's Hall of Fame recipients and to congratulate them on the many incredible contributions these teams and individuals made to one of the most accomplished athletic programs in the state of Connecticut. If you don't believe it, go into our new gym, not the old one, and take a look at the state championship banners. It's not measured by state championships. It's the student athletes who committed their life, developed their skill set, and made this a great community of athletic competition. Of course, the many accomplishments in athletics don't happen without the support of many. That includes our leadership, starting with an outstanding Board of Education, the Superintendent's Office, the high school administration, and the hardworking athletic department. I also need to include a supportive coaching staff, the trainers, assistant coaches, and all the parents of the student athletes. I've had a terrific athletic coaching career in a community that has given me more than I have given it. As I look back on the 35 years of coaching, the memories of those years will remain a treasure of wonderful thoughts in the days, months, and years ahead. There was so much that was fine here. I have been privileged to watch young athletes grow and mature. I have seen our athletic program expand and develop, all for the positive. Now that the coaching career has ended, it was coaching sports that has made my life, and I fully intend to keep abreast of all that is happening in sports competition here at Simsbury High School in the months and years ahead. When I'm in Florida with my wife, she says we get off that damn CIAC website. That's where we find all the scores. It never leaves you. Never leaves you. I would like to emphasize tonight that in my many years of coaching, I was fortunate to be surrounded by some of the finest professional educators, people whose dedication, drive, and expertise could not help but rub off on me. And many of them are in this room tonight. To me, they're Hall of Famers. I have learned from all my coaching and teaching colleagues, and I shall be eternally grateful for their support. I especially tonight would like to give thanks to my two longtime assistants, Mark Melangonis in soccer and Joe Grace in golf. Not only are they great friends, but their support and dedication to the athletic program at Simsbury High School is immeasurable. I would also like to thank the professional staffs and members at Simsbury Farms and the Hot Meadow Golf Courses for allowing the golf teams over the years to train and develop their golf skills in order to compete not only in conference play, but in statewide competition year after year in state tournament play. There is one person in this audience tonight that I would like to have stand, because without him, it wouldn't be me here tonight. Ken Doyle, would you stand up? Ken has been a long-time PGA professional here at Hot Meadow, and has been a friend. And I don't think any single person, in golf, no parents are allowed on the course. Ken and Sharon used to come to just about every state championship that we were involved in. Kudos to them. And he's a major contributor to the success why I'm standing here tonight. Thank you, Ken. I would also like to thank the media, and more specifically the Hartford Current and the Valley Sports reporters, for giving us more ink than we probably deserve. I say me and the team. The reporters gave our players and families the lifetime treasure of article clippings, that represented the team's accomplishments. Immeasurable. My wife still wants me to clean out the box of clippings. Outstanding. Many of you all know that basketball officiating was and is a very important part of my life. After retiring 12 years ago, I was honored to be assigned the assignment commissioner of high school officials in Hartford. The last 2 days have been terrible for our officials. 320 games have to be rescheduled. We all know who has to do it. Me. Tallinn and Middlesex counties and Hartford are our service. All high schools, middle schools. I would like to thank the Central Connecticut High School Board of Officials for taking the time to attend tonight. Gentlemen, please stand up. There is also 2 members here. He started to get up. He's no longer officiating, thank God. Tim Vincent and Walt Zalaski are here tonight. Tim Vincent used to lead us in the skate when our officials made the state tournament down at the CIC headquarters. Tim, you want to stand up and give that cheer? Yes, they will.
All right. Okay, stand up, boys. Come on.
Go, Kenny.
Board 6. S.
Tim, that was very poor, by the way. Didn't get much support. Tim said to me tonight on the way in, Ed, I can still officiate what I've seen on the court you put on the court this year. I said, they don't have neoprene sleeves anymore. Anyway, Walt, where are you, buddy? There he is, right there. Thanks, Walt. Last but not least tonight, a huge thanks to my astounding supportive family. Which I cannot thank enough. To my mom and dad, who supported my love and participation in sports in the Wethersfield school system. And to my wife, Dottie, and my 3 children who supported my passion to coach. Dottie's in Florida enjoying 55-degree weather, by the way. And 3 of my loves are here tonight. My daughter, Tiffany, please stand. My son, Daryl, and his wife, Holly, please stand. We have 2 special grandchildren, 7 and 2 years old. The 7-year-old wanted to be here tonight. He doesn't quite understand what's going on, but I went downstairs to see him with the babysitter, and he gives me a hug and he says, "Good luck, Papa." I truly am blessed to have a loving family who continue to support. Ladies and gentlemen, to be inducted into the Connecticut High School Hall of Fame, to the National High School Hall of Fame, and to be recognized through my players for the Sports Writers Award, honestly, they're all great tributes. But honestly, the best tribute for me, for all my players, for my family, is tonight. That to be honored and inducted into the Simsbury High School Hall of Fame. I thank Simsbury. I thank the Hall of Fame committee for their tremendous honor. God bless. Thank you all.
there's not much remaining between you and dinner, except a team that gave up only 2 goals one year. We are honoring tonight the 1987 girls soccer team. Class L state champs with a record of 20-0. Ranked number 1 in Connecticut, ranked number 3 nationally. They scored 101 goals and allowed, as I mentioned, only 2. Coached by Marty Lisovic. The girls soccer team had an extremely successful season, obviously, in 1987. The team consisted of 16 seniors, 6 juniors, and 4 sophomores. The team was led by tri-captains Yvonne Gwinnell, Tracy Hagan, and Kristen Supko. During the regular season, the team finished 16-0 with 1 goal scored on them. In the state tournament, they beat Wilton 2-1, thus becoming state champs with a record of 20-0. The strength of the team should carry them on for years to come, according to the Pinnacle in 1988, the Pinnacle being the Simsbury High School yearbook. Congratulations to the 1987 girls soccer team.
Good evening, everybody. I first off want to say to my team, I knew that no blizzard would hold you back from coming here. We have about 20 of them here tonight. All right, so I think that says an awful lot. And ladies, let me be the first to say to you, welcome home. Before I get to my team of honorees, please let me introduce my home team in the corner over there. My beautiful wife, Donna. My daughters, all soccer players. Alexa, who's a senior at Purdue. She's going into medical school. Taylor, who's a freshman at Ohio State. She plays for the Ohio State Buckeyes. My third daughter, Natasha, she goes to that wonderful correctional facility called the Avon Middle School. And she plays for FSA. Also seated at that table are my 2 in-laws, Carol and Otto Hornish, Mike Hornish, my brother-in-law, and our longtime assistant, Keith Lysak, who basically made a career of screaming at soccer officials. He is now a high school soccer official. I'd like to thank Superintendent Curtis, Principal O'Brien, Jeff Penny, the athletic director, and the wonderful assistant principal, Steve Petrina, and their committee for establishing the Hall of Fame. I owe you a massive debt of gratitude. It is very rare when a coach gets to come back 30 years later, tell his kids how much he loves them, how impressed he was with them, certainly with what they accomplished 30 years ago, but more impressed with the people they've become now, the families they've started, their professional lives. And I think that's a hallmark of a great school system, which is Simsbury Public Schools and Simsbury High School serve the God. And to the committee, spectacular job. Spectacular job. I played in the golf tournament. I was able to bring my family to play in that. This is tremendous. It's just bursting at the seams here. Absolutely spectacular job in day one. I can tell you this, my family and I will support this for as long as I'm alive. I will be here. Thank you very much. I would be remiss if I did not congratulate all of the honorees here tonight. And I especially want to thank the Vincents, certainly for the incredible amount of time and energy they have devoted to not only to Simsbury High School, but to the development of our youth in our community. And gentlemen, Tim and Tom, every time I walked into your store, whether it was for Simsbury High School, the Avon Soccer Club, or with my in-laws buying hockey sticks, you always treated us like one of your family. And the award is well due, and congratulations to you for it. Mr. Lynch, my longtime friend, and Ed Lynch, his beautiful family. Dottie Lynch is a candidate for sainthood, there's no question. with the cast of characters that have come through that household, including myself, my wife. We were always welcome there. Ed is the winningest high school golf coach in the United States. And it took me a while to figure out, how did he do this? You know, what was his secret weapon? His Joe Grace. There's no question. It is Joe Grace. And you got to understand, I love these two guys. These two guys were at my wedding, okay? And Joe, I was Joe Grace's student teacher way back when, believe it or not. If you think of, and I've played golf with these guys several times, but if you think of the amount of time and energy that Ed has put into improving Joe Grace's golf swing, and I've been on the golf course with him, you know, Ed, what am I doing wrong? Ed, why do I slice? Ed, how come I can't putt? And Ed, just imagine the patience, the fortitude, the dedication to improve that swing. Coaching high school kids is a breeze compared to that. So congratulations, Eddie and Joe. I love you both. The 1987 girls soccer team finished a perfect season. We ended up going 20-0. Our journey pretty much started the year before. 1986, we were 18-0 going into the state semifinals. We basically had the entire team then, along with Cheryl Bergeron. We played Wilton, Christine Lilly, who arguably is the greatest soccer player, boy or girl, that Connecticut ever produced. We were beating them 2-0, and like great players always do, she came around and dominated the second half and beat us 3-2. Crushing defeat, our only defeat that year. We came back the following year in 87, determined to finish the job. I had 16 seniors on that team, the most I ever had. And with Tracy, Kristen, and Yvonne as captains, his team possessed great senior leadership across the board. The ladies all knew what the goal was, perfection. So we rolled through the regular season 16-0, allowing one goal the entire time. We were seeded number 1. And of course, there was Wilton on the other side of the bracket. So we would not see them until the final, and we were set up for the rematch. And then the freak snowstorm came. 10 inches of snow fell on Monday, November 8th, postponing the first week of the tourney. It was cold, it was not melting, and the Simsbury High School soccer fields were built on a swamp, so there was no playing there. Bob Broderick called me into his office and told me that we're going to move our first 2 home games down to Nawnawag High School in Woodbury. I told him no way, because their field was on a hill, and we were not going up the hill one half and then going down the hill the next half. I brought the girls in and told them to bring shovels, and that we were going to shovel Curtis Park over the weekend and play our home game that Monday. Of course, I don't recall if I actually told Bob this or not, and of course, it was probably one of the dumbest decisions I've ever made. So I show up at Curtis Park on Saturday morning to see my girls were having snowball fights. They built a snowman. Someone had built an impressive snow fort, but no snow had been removed. Thank God for Karen Dennison's father, who came in with a tractor, and several other dads with snow blowers. And by Sunday, the field was clear, pristine, with impressive 5-foot snow piles of snow surrounding it. We went on to win our first 3 games, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They got the whole tournament done in 1 week, getting us to the championship game versus Wilton, to be played on Sunday, November 20th at Glastonbury High School. It was 20 degrees outside, and the kids played with long johns under their uniforms. The field was roped off. We did not play in stadiums at that point. And fans 3 to 4 deep surrounded it. It was estimated there were 1,500 people at that game, which was the largest high school girls soccer crowd in Connecticut up until that time. The game plan was to try to have Yvonne mark Christine Lilly and have Kristen Supko limit her attacking and provide defensive support. Kristen never forgave me for this and hasn't spoken to me until today, 30 years later. But she was one of the smartest soccer players I ever had and handled it flawlessly. Yvonne played... Yvonne played one of the greatest defensive games I ever saw, chasing Lily all over the field for 80 minutes, and Christine never scored. We got our first goal in the first half when Tammy hit a diagonal ball to the far post that Barbara Berger stuffed home and put us up 1-0. Halftime came. We wrapped the girls up in blankets. Of course, there were no locker rooms back then. Talked and got back after it. In the second half, Tracy Hagan got a ball down the left side, went by the Wilton defense on a breakaway, deked the keeper, and put us up 2-0. It stayed that way until, with 5 seconds to go, Laura Cinti, who was one of the best backs I ever coached, volleyed a bullet into her own goal while trying to clear across. It was a good thing our keeper, Jen Beal, didn't touch it because it was hit so hard it would have gone through her. Kristen then sent the kickoff into the corner, game over, and the field got mobbed by fans and parents. Mission accomplished. The ride home was raucous, to say the least. We arrived at Simsbury High School, and Walt Zalaski and Bob had all the fans up on the patio behind the gym to greet us. An incredible sight. As I let the girls off the bus first, I noticed Bob Broderick, my AD, my mentor, my boss, waiting for me. I figured I was going to get a handshake, a hug, a congratulations. Instead, he handed me an envelope with a letter in it. The letter was from the Simsbury Parks and Recreation Commission telling me never to shovel the fields again. The lesson is no good deed goes unpunished, only in Simsbury. Let me introduce the 1987 team real quickly. Ladies, if you would stand up, and I'll do my best here. Let's start underclassmen, I guess. Heather McKay, Kendra Kahlberg, the two young ones here, I guess. All right. We go to the junior class, which was Karen Dennison, Lori Crutchkoff, Tammy Thompson, Brooke Baker, we got, let's see, Jen Plansky, Missy Plansky, Kathleen Bogan, Lisa Sharp, Kirsten Nixa. Christy Clapham, Jody Stewart, Christine Schwenzer, Laura, Cinti, Karen Earhart, Megan Earhart, Kristen Supko, Tracy Hagan. Did I get everybody? The first team inducted into the Simsbury High School Hall of Fame, the 1987 Girls Soccer State Championship. Thank you all. Joe Grace and I will have an end cut. Thank you.
Just so you know, I gave the big plaque to Coach. Members of the team, there are smaller individual plaques for each of you. We'll get those to you in just a moment. So far, we've honored individuals. We have honored a team. We have honored a coach, and as a coach currently in the high school level, a lot of people ask about the impact you have on kids, and I think any coach in the room would say you don't really measure the impact until 20, 30 years down the road and see what you have accomplished with the athletes that you've coached. Somebody who has had an immeasurable impact on people in Simsbury is being honored now as a community contributor in Elmer Vincent. Again, this is in your program for the benefit of the folks watching at home. Elmer Vincent, lifelong resident of the town of Simsbury, born the youngest of 8 children to Charles and Elizabeth Vincent. Charles, incidentally, the brother of my great-grandfather. He was raised in the family home on Plank Hill, just a home run away from the entrance to the Simsbury Little League complex on, aptly enough, Elmer's Way. A 1937 graduate of Simsbury High School, he played varsity basketball, varsity baseball for 3 years, from 1935 to 37, where he was a pitcher and first baseman. In his senior year, he pitched to a 7-0 record for the 9-1 Trojans. After high school, he played semi-pro ball in the Farmington Valley Baseball League for 13 years, enlisted in the service in 1943, and played for the 4th Air Force baseball team from 1943 to 45, and then for the Linen Club in 1946 and 47 in the Boston Park League while attending the New England Institute of Mortuary Science. Upon returning home, he resumed play in the Farmington Valley Baseball League until he was hospitalized in 1949 when he was diagnosed with tuberculosis and had a lung removed, which ended his athletic career. However, Elmer's civic commitment started in 1952 with Simsbury Little League and the Simsbury baseball community. For the next 24 years, he served as president, commissioner, and finally coach of the Rotary Tigers for 14 years, with whom he won 8 town championships. He was instrumental in overseeing the construction of the 4 Little League fields at the complex on Plank Hill and took on the renovation project of the Memorial baseball field in the late 70s. Upon Elmer's retirement from Simsbury Little League in 1976, he joined varsity head coach Jack Wilson's staff as an assistant coach from 1977 to 1982. In the summer of 82, he assumed the general manager duties for Simsbury American Legion Baseball until his death in 2002. He served as an associate scout for the Yankees in the early 80s and for the Texas Rangers from 1989 to 91. A World War II veteran, Elmer took great pride in serving his country with the Army Air Force Medical Division at March Air Force Base in Riverside, California. He remained an active member of the Tom Alonis the American Legion Hall of Fame post-84 for over 50 years. Elmer was elected town Simsbury tax collector in 1951, served until 58, where he collected 99% of all taxes due. In 1959, he assumed his full-time position of president of Vincent Funeral Homes until his retirement in 1978. He was the civil defense director for the Farmington Valley during the devastating flood of 1955, which put him in charge of securing the safety of the survivors of the flood. He served on the Town Republican Committee, Simsbury Historical Society, life member of the Disabled American Veterans, and was a Justice of the Peace. Among his many awards, Elmer was the 1971 Simsbury Chamber of Commerce Youth Service Award winner, a Simsbury Hometown Hero in 1986, Rotary Club Citizen of the Year in 1986, Connecticut State American Legion Baseball Contributors Award in 1992. In June of 1970, the town of Simsbury issued a proclamation designating June 16th as Elmer Vincent Day, and in 1976 declared the road to Memorial Park to be named Elmer's Way. Elmer was married to lifetime Simsbury resident Joanna Quinn Vincent in 1947. He's survived by their 3 sons, former First Selectman Tom Vincent, Tim Vincent, and Tony Vincent, 9 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. Augie, Mr. Baseball, passed away May 29, 2002, ending 50 years of loyalty and dedicated service to the youth of Simsbury, but his legacy of athleticism, public service, business acumen continues to live on in his family and the many players his life has touched. And as current vice president of Simsbury Little League, I have to say thank you on behalf of our board as well. Accepting this honor on behalf of the Vincent family is, I believe, Tom Vincent.
Thank you, everyone. On behalf of my father, Elmer Vincent, my mother, Joanna Vincent, my 2 brothers, Tim and Tony, and all the Vincent family and friends gathered here today, I am very proud and honored to accept this award on behalf of my father to be inducted into the Simsbury Trojan Hall of Fame class of 2018. I would like to thank the athletic department, the Hall of Fame committee, Steve Petrina, and all you people for putting in such an effort and hard work to make this evening something so enjoyable to all of us here, and something that our whole community can look forward to in years to come. I'd also like to congratulate all the other award winners this evening. I'm glad to be in the same room with all these individuals. How great they are, they're talented, and listening to all their accomplishments on what they did with their dash between the years. As you look at the program, you see everybody has a dash. My dad, unfortunately, has passed away, so his dash goes from 1919 to 2002. This award is for community service, and I think I want to just talk a lot about it. The good part is I'm going last. The bad part is I helped George Mainville do his speech, and he stole half of my lines. But I'd like to start off first by just having the Vincent family and friends stand up in the back. My lovely wife, my brothers, and all their friends. As you know, my dad was truly a community person. He loved this town of Simsbury. And when he started in the 30s, a little bit different than George, we grew it up to 4,000. We were about 2,500 to 3,000 people. Since my dad is the oldest inductee today, I thought I would take you all down memory lane and give you a little idea about Simsbury, the town, Simsbury, the high school, and most importantly, the life of a young boy turned man, my dad, Elmer Vincent, and what he accomplished with his dash of life. Born the youngest of 8 children on Plank Hill Road, he grew up to share a 10 by 10 bedroom with his 2 brothers. That was not fun. Last to be fed at each meal and given the bulk of all the chores at the house and the farm. From cleaning the turkey coops in the morning before he went to school to fixing the outhouse door because we didn't have indoor plumbing. He was happy to be a youth in Simsbury. He enjoyed his life on Plank Hill Road, and he enjoyed this community. He ended up going to play basketball at Belden School, which is now the town hall. As George said earlier, the gym is located where the zoning, the planning, the engineering, and the building department are now. You kept score on a chalkboard. There was no electric scoreboard back then. And you had the old metal fan-shaped backboards. We progressed to get to the wooden backboards a little later in the years. The timer held a handheld clock and sat at a desk at center court. If you were lucky and you got to the game early, you got to sit in a folding chair. Sometimes you had to stand in the back. One of the walls at Belden School was all glass, so if you played in the daytime or practiced in the daytime, you had the sun reflecting in on the hoops. The other most important part was, as Ray and I used to say when we coached basketball at the high school, God damn it, go strong to the hoop. Well, if you did at Belden School, my dad would either push you or he'd stick your leg out. And if you went out the east basket, which was against the wall, you'd go down a flight of stairs and into one of the classrooms. Really, if you were not fortunate and he did the same trick to you on the west side, you went through that exit door and you had to hold on for dear life on the fire escape because you were on the second floor. But baseball was his true love. He did play at Central School. And as George said earlier, there were no dugouts. There was a wooden bench. You played with all woolen uniforms. So imagine having to play soccer with all wool uniforms. They're pretty heavy and they're not fun. But he enjoyed it and he took pride in that Trojan uniform. They played with wooden bats. My dad did on a wooden lathe. He made his own bat back then. There were no batting helmets, and you got 2 baseballs to start the game. One was new, one was used. Now, my dad played pitcher. He played first base. He threw left-handed and he batted left-handed. He loved pitching with the used ball because usually it was cut when it fouled off and went on Masako Street. It had a gauge, cuts in it, and you would enjoy throwing a breaking ball with some cut on the ball because you had a better breaking ball. And if that didn't work, I'm sure my dad had a little piece of emery paper inside his glove that he would rub that ball down. But also he loved to bat at Central School, as the field was at the playground, and he was a great hitter. He would hit these majestic home runs left-handed that would end up going into the woods between Memorial Field and Central Playground. After school, he continued playing in the Farmington Valley Baseball League. He continued to dominate both at bat and pitching, sometimes pitching both ends of a doubleheader. Back then, there were no pitch counts. You didn't get taken out at the end of the 5th inning pitching and say, great job. You pitched until your arm fell off. And if that meant 2 games, that meant 2 games. In 1949, after returning back from the war and serving our country, he became very ill. He was hospitalized for over a year at the Newington Veterans Hospital with tuberculosis. Just to give you an idea what that disease was like back then, they would operate and cut your rib cage out with a hacksaw, deflate your lung, stitch you back together. Then all of those people were thrown into one room because TB was a very contagious disease, as they said back then. And my dad was told that 15% of you in this room are going to live, the rest will die. Well, he stared death in the eye and he won, and he came back out 15%. He was one of them. He came back stronger than ever with his commitment to this community and his town. As he told me later, life is so precious, he would tell me, don't waste a minute or a day. Over the next 50 years, he received many awards and honors. Simsbury Chamber of Commerce Youth Service Award, Simsbury Hometown Hero Award, Simsbury Rotary Citizens of the Year, Simsbury American Legion Baseball Contributors Award. The town did designate June 16, 1970, Elmer Vincent Day, and also named the entry road to Memorial Park, Elmer's Way. We have all gone to many Simsbury High School graduations and listened to many speeches about how high school sets the foundation for your success in life. Moving forward on what you do with that life or dash between the years is very important. My dad had a strong foundation. If you're ever privileged to be able to play with him or to coach by him or to coach with him, you were honored to be on his team. You would go through the brick wall for him, and he would go through that same brick wall for you. He loved coaching baseball because he always told me it was the one game that the pitcher and the batter got to go one-on-one with each other. Nobody else is going to be able to take their place. And the best hitters in this game are only going to be successful 30% of the time. That was not only a baseball lesson, but it's a lesson in life for all of us. He always told the kids when he coached with me, how you handle the 70% that you don't succeed is how you're going to succeed in the rest of your life. As one of our recipients said earlier, Mike Hood, who was probably one of the greatest athletes that I ever got to coach, even he, like he said, was not successful 70% of the time. So it's amazing. My dad was humble. He was very proud. He was proud of his team, his teammates, his school, his town, his family, and his church. He was proud of every individual in this room. As Marty said earlier, when you came into the sports shop, we tried to have you be our family. That undefeated team, I coached many, many years. I never had an undefeated team. Hats off to you all. That's a great tribute. Well, my dad was family to everybody in this community. He taught us all to be humble in life, respect others, sportsmanship in victory, but also in defeat, dedication to the team and your family. Work hard every day, as he would say, because each day is a blessing. And give 110% to make your life something we can all be proud of. And I can truly say that if he was standing here today, he would say, God bless you all, because you have made him very proud. I'm going to read this poem. You have to bear with me. I was one of those athletes that got a D- in English. They passed me through the system so I could play. But I am going to read this. I read of a man who stood to speak at a funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke of the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all is what the dash between the years. For that dash represents all the time that they spent alive on earth. And now only those who love them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the home, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If you could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel.
And be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? Again, I am very proud of how my dad spent his dash, and I am very proud of how everyone in this room is spending their dash. God bless you all, and have a great evening.
Wow, what a great and memorable event, and a night that the 2018 inductees and their families will remember forever. Jeff, please take a moment to recap what your additional thoughts and ideas are. Jeff, take a minute to just kind of recap for folks your thoughts and feelings on the induction ceremony.
I want to thank our sponsors that allowed us to get this off the ground, Roger. Simsbury Bank. We had a number of other sponsors who did a fantastic job of giving us the resources to really start this in a top-notch way. Hot Meadow Country Club for their accommodating such a tremendous turnout. We had no idea that there would be 230 people coming to this induction. Thank you to the families who traveled and the friends and the supporters and the the Simsbury community for having just such a great experience, for everybody to come out for the first time. I think we set the standard for what this event can look like moving forward, and I think the community will continue to grow in favor of this tremendous honor. And I hope that the honorees felt like this was well done, like this was not our first time doing it, even though it was. And I hope that everybody had a great experience, and that we look forward to seeing them again next year for the golf tournament in early October, and then again for the induction ceremony again in early January.
And it will only build, Jeff, with time, and all the hard work that you put in will be a great framework for improvement. And I just think Jeff, the October golf tournament and that Hall of Fame induction was phenomenal. It was really good. Excellent job, Jeff.
Thank you, Ryan.
And on behalf of the Hall of Fame board and former Trojan athletes, thank you for making this new Hall of Fame a reality and helping to preserve the long and rich tradition of Simsbury sports. Again, as Jeff said, by typing in Simsbury Trojans Hall of Fame in your internet browser, you will have all the information at your fingertips. Thanks again to the kind folks at Simsbury Community Television for providing us this opportunity to share with the viewers of SCTV the new Simsbury Trojans Hall of Fame. See you around the neighborhood and the athletic fields, courts, and rinks. Go Trojans. Thank you.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.